Imagine walking into a corporate boardroom where diversity and inclusion have been the rallying cry for years. You see more women at the table, and at first glance, it seems like progress is being made. But if you look closer, you'll notice something interesting. The faces at the table have changed, but not in the way you'd expect. Despite the push for diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, the group that has benefited the most is not necessarily the one that needed the biggest push. The statistics paint a stark reality. White women have overwhelmingly reaped the rewards of DEI initiatives, while Black women and other women of color remain underrepresented, underpaid, and overlooked. This is not just speculation. It is backed by data. And today, we're going to break it down. Who really benefited from DEI? Why did it work better for some than others? And what can we do about it? Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to Life Points with Rhonda on all streaming platforms. If this conversation resonates with you, please share this episode and leave a review. It helps amplify these critical discussions. And don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon at Life Points with Rhonda for more powerful conversations that challenge the way we think about relationships, career, and life. Now, let's get into it. The DEI movement, where it started versus where it is now. The diversity, equity, and inclusion movement, as we know it, was designed to address systemic disparities in the workplace, ensuring that historically marginalized groups, particularly women, people of color, LGBTQ+ individuals, and those with disabilities, were given equitable access to job opportunities, promotions, and leadership positions. It was a response to years of discrimination that kept entire communities locked out of professional advancement. Initially, the conversation was focused on race and gender simultaneously, highlighting how women and people of color were excluded from leadership positions. However, as corporations scrambled to diversify their workforce, an unexpected trend emerged. White women became the primary beneficiaries of DEI programs. Instead of seeing a substantial increase in Black leadership or a more equitable workplace across the board, the data shows that white women gained the most from diversity initiatives, while Black women, Latinas, and Indigenous women were still left behind. So, how did we get here? How white women became the minority in DEI. One of the biggest oversights in corporate America's approach to DEI was the assumption that all women experience workplace discrimination in the same way. Because gender equality became a major focal point, many organizations looked at their leadership teams and decided they needed to add more women, without considering how race further complicated the issue. White women, who had already made significant gains in the workplace since the feminist movements of the 1960s and 70s, were the most accessible, diverse candidates for leadership roles. Here's why. They were already in the pipeline. White women had more access to higher education, corporate mentorships, and leadership training than Black women, making them a more natural choice when companies sought to promote women. Companies focused on gender, not race. Instead of pushing for an intersectional approach to DEI, many businesses prioritized gender alone, meaning that hiring more women was the primary goal, regardless of their racial or ethnic background. They benefited from white privilege while still being a minority. White women are minorities in terms of gender, but still hold racial privilege, which meant they were able to access and navigate corporate spaces more easily than women of color. The numbers don't lie. A study by McKinsey & Company found that while white women now occupy nearly 19% of C-suite roles, Black women hold only 1.6% of these positions. The disparity is even worse when looking at the overall workforce, where Black women face the highest rates of workplace microaggressions, the least access to sponsorships, and the lowest pay gap improvements compared to other racial groups, where Black women were left behind. So, if white women have gained from DEI, why haven't Black women seen the same level of advancement? The answer lies in structural barriers that DEI programs failed to address. 1. The lack of sponsorship for Black women. One of the most overlooked factors in workplace advancement is sponsorship. Having senior leaders who actively advocate for your promotion, introduce you to key networks, and provide strategic career advice. Studies show that Black women receive significantly less sponsorship than white women and men. Without sponsorship, career progression becomes an uphill battle, even with DEI initiatives in place. Second, bias in hiring and promotion decisions. Despite efforts to improve workplace inclusivity, implicit bias still plays a major role in hiring and promotion. Studies have shown that Black women are more likely to be passed over for promotions than white women, despite having the same qualifications. They are less likely to receive honest feedback that could help them advance. They are often held to a different standard when it comes to leadership, being perceived as too aggressive or not a cultural fit. 3, the wage gap that DEI didn't close. Another undeniable truth is that DEI initiatives have not significantly improved pay equity for Black women. White women now make 82 cents for every dollar a white man earns. Black women, on the other hand, make just 63 cents on the dollar. Even as DEI programs increased awareness about gender pay disparities, race-based pay gaps were rarely prioritized in the same way. Where do we go from here? Now that we understand who benefited and who didn't, the next question is, what can we do about it? 1. Rethinking DEI to prioritize intersectionality. Companies need to stop treating diversity as a check-the-box exercise and instead focus on intersectional hiring and promotion strategies. That means ensuring that Black women are part of leadership pipelines, developing sponsorship and mentorship programs specifically for Black women, addressing wage gaps with transparent salary data and accountability. 2. Holding companies accountable. Organizations that claim to value diversity need to prove it, not just by hiring white women, but by making room for all marginalized communities. Are companies tracking who is benefiting from DEI? Are promotions going to people from diverse racial backgrounds or just white women? 3. Creating spaces for Black women to thrive. Until the system changes, Black women must build their own networks, support systems, and mentorship circles to counteract these disparities. The DEI movement started with good intentions, but intentions are not enough. The results show us that Black women have been left behind, while white women have become the face of diversity. If we truly want equity, we have to demand more than surface-level solutions. It's time for a new conversation, one that prioritizes real change. Stop waiting. Build your own reality. If there's one truth we need to face head-on, it's this. We cannot wait for corporate America to suddenly become fair. We cannot sit around hoping that DEI programs will finally start working in our favor. We have already seen how this plays out. The system has never been built for us. So why are we still waiting for it to change? Instead of hoping that companies will suddenly wake up and start prioritizing Black women, we need to shift our focus to what we can control. That means 1. Creating our own opportunities. For too long, we've been told that the only path to success is through the traditional corporate pipeline, climbing the ladder, proving ourselves, waiting for a promotion that may never come. But what if we stop playing by their rules? Start your own business. If corporate America won't open doors for us, we create our own. Develop your own brand, whether through consulting, coaching, content creation, or entrepreneurship. The power is in our hands. Monetize your expertise. If you have skills, knowledge, or a service to offer, stop giving it away for free and start building something that benefits you directly. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the U.S., yet we often lack access to the funding and resources needed to scale. But that doesn't mean we stop. It means we find a way. Second, building our own networks of power. Sponsorship and mentorship have been major barriers to Black women's advancement in corporate America. So instead of waiting for someone in power to take us under their wing, we need to start mentoring and sponsoring each other. Create spaces for Black women to thrive. Whether through mastermind groups, networking events, or business collaborations, we need to prioritize community over competition. Support Black-owned businesses. When we circulate our dollars within our own communities, We create economic power that doesn't rely on external validation. Lift as we climb. If you've made it to a leadership position or started a successful venture, reach back and help another Black woman rise. 3, changing the mindset from employee to owner. For decades, we've been conditioned to believe that success means securing a good job, climbing the corporate ladder, and retiring with a pension. But the truth is, job security is an illusion. The same companies that claim to support diversity will lay you off without hesitation. The same corporate structures that claim to empower women will keep Black women stuck in middle management. The same businesses that roll out DEI programs will continue to promote white women over you. So why are we still begging for a seat at the table when we can build our own table? If we truly want freedom, wealth, and generational success, we have to stop thinking like employees and start thinking like owners. That means investing in ourselves. Take that course, build that business, develop that skill set that allows you to be self-sufficient, diversifying income streams, whether it's real estate, digital entrepreneurship, coaching, or product-based businesses. Never rely on one source of income. Understanding financial independence. We can't break cycles of economic oppression if we don't educate ourselves on money, investments, and wealth-building strategies. 4, taking up space, unapologetically. For too long, we've been told to shrink ourselves, to tone it down, to be more palatable, to fit into a mold that was never designed for us. No more. If a company refuses to see your value, build something where you are valued. If a room doesn't include you, create your own room. If leadership opportunities aren't being handed to you, position yourself as a leader anyway. The era of waiting is over. The time for Black women to reclaim their power is now. Final thoughts. Diversity and inclusion efforts have failed us, not because they weren't well-intentioned, but because they were never designed to truly empower us. The reality is that no program, policy, or corporate initiative will ever save us. We have to save ourselves. That means shifting from a survival mindset to a success mindset. That means understanding that we are the solution to our own problems. That means realizing that we already have everything we need to thrive. We just need to stop waiting for permission to use it. So, I want to leave you with this. What are you waiting for? If you've been holding back, if you've been waiting for the right opportunity, if you've been telling yourself you'll start next year, next month, next week, this is your sign to start now. Because the longer you wait, the longer you delay the life you are meant to live. If this episode resonated with you, share it, leave a review, and send it to another Black woman who needs to hear this. Let's build together, grow together, and break these cycles together. And as always, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon at Life Points with Rhonda for more life-changing conversations. Let's keep pushing, let's keep building, and let's take control of our own narratives, because nobody